Imagine writing a song with such a tricky part that when a decade later you and the boys revisit it, you scratch your head like, how did we even do that? But you do want to play it, and the fans crave it. Again, it's been like 10 years since I played it last time, and some love the song specifically for that tricky section. What do? You cut the entire challenging part out altogether. And so you keep playing it this way for the next 25 years, making thousands of fans hope this time they gonna play it all. Well, at least they still play it at all. Hi friends, it's Andriy Vasylenko, and did what I just said sound like I'm cheating on my favorite band? If yes, you can go nahuy, because today we're gonna celebrate Blackened. Blackened, Old Habit, one of the pivotal tracks in metal and written by a bassist, which is kinda double ironic, because you cannot hear the bass there, and then he would have contributed only 2 more ideas to the band in the whole 15 years in it. Blackened is the end, and also the beginning of arguably the best and sure the most complex Metallica album to date. In fact, so complex, it took a massive creative toll on the band, and then playing it live did them physically. And so for the next 2 decades, Metallica did not write a single challenging song like one of those. The lyrical justice theme also runs through Blackened. It's about how we humans are ruining the nature, our only home, the Mother Earth. And the justice she's gonna execute on us because of that. And so we can consider Blackened one of the first eco-friendly metal songs. Anyway, let's talk about the actual music of Blackened. What's cool about it and what's challenging about it, so that Metallica had to cripple it in order to keep performing it live. The main riff. This is the part that Jason Newsted wrote on bass. He showed it to the guys not long after being chosen the successor of Cliff, and was so fortunate to have this very magical moment captured on the tape of Jason teaching James the riff.
Play that slow, play it slow.
This was when James and I were first becoming friends. We were in my one-bedroom apartment, and I played that, that blackened riff, and he goes, "Dude, what is that?" It's a very fast alternating thing, man. It's pretty tricky, actually. And so he picked up on that.
Remember the effort you put into trying to learn this riff. Meanwhile, Hetfield, once he got the flow of it, played it flawlessly and at this speed, like it's his. And besides the main riff, Newsted also brought up its immediate follow-up, the verse riff, which is a variation on the main riff's tail. And it is in 6/4, but the original was even proggier.
Yeah.
And you know, before the info came up, like 15 years ago, I assumed that slow, heavy bridge was the part of Blackened that belonged to Jason. But it's actually the part that is so guitar-y, you know, so Hetfield, so Metallica, and so Justice. Like, the stars aligned right away, and this would become the perfect album opener. And I've been wondering how much this riff might have influenced the general direction of Justice, or just fits where the band was already headed, perhaps even with Cliff, because the Justice vibe hints were already on Master of Puppets, and even Ride the Lightning, but there was this progression towards more, proggy stuff and everything, more complex, more complicated, and this came from everyone, including the guy we're gonna mention.
It was a moment, he was actually composing a song with James from Metallica, and he was approving my riffs and saying this is going to be a Metallica song. My first chance on having one of my compositions on a Metallica record.
But anyway, such a productive beginning of a collaboration of Jason and Metallica would turn out to be a super rare occasion onwards, because for the next decade and a half, only 2 more ideas by Newsted would pass the cool enough for Metallica check. That's one on the Black Album, My Friend of Misery, and one on Reload, which I still fail to pronounce every other time. Where the wild things are. But this one I will never be able to pronounce at all. And this may come as a surprise to native English speakers, but a lot of people, including me, used to call it blackened, which apparently Metallica is aware of.
Blackened.
But what surprised me after the recent poll, that it's very common among Spanish-speaking Metallica fans to call it like it spells, blackened. Anyway, write in the comments if you can relate to this, or you say blackened in some other way, like I don't know, blacked or blanket? And I want to thank you everyone who is still on this channel, liking, watching, etc. And especially my dear members. Thank you. Yeah, I've mentioned the time signature changes, and blackened could be the most generous Metallica track in that regard. The exact amount of those changes is kind of hard to calculate for. Sometimes it's vague, whether it's 7/4 or just 4/4 plus 3. Sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's not. In the main riff it's 7/4, obviously, but this happens a lot in the middle section. And because of that, the number of time signature changes could be inflated like to dozens. And Metallica just loves, especially on Justice, to throw in some 1/4, 2/4, extend or contract some bars. Not that prog, it's not division on 8s and 16s, but still, that's a change. Also, here and there, Metallica sprinkled this kind of free time bars, where it's a combination of slowing down, swing, extended notes, extra notes. And by the way, did you notice that kind of delay on the last note of the Kirk solo, or this, whatever the fuck the time signature transition is? That's not a delay. They literally copy-pasted that little bit of tape like a dozen times. So it's kind of hard to tell what's actually the time signature there. That's why in my base tab for Blackened, which I just released, I noted that as free time measures. Just feel it. Again, the case with Master of Puppets, that 21:32 bar in the verse, which certainly was not the intention by the guys, but they just felt like playing it. And the same, I believe, applies to the stuff from Justice for All. They sure did not learn music theory by the time. However, it's not the oddish, rather, time signature that make Blackened kind of difficult. The real challenge comes when Lars Ulrich steps in. The challenge that Metallica is not willing to take on anymore. After the absolutely kick-ass solo by Kirk Hammett, the main riff returns for a few more times. But now instead of the thrash bit, tu-tak-tak-tak, Lars plays the regular tu-tak-tu-tak. And then the same rhythm, but shifted 1/8. Meanwhile, the riff stays the same, but it's shown in different kind of perspective, different accents, and it's so simple and kind of really difficult, because it seems like everything stays the same, but there's this really hidden transition. And you better watch out the transition, otherwise you'll mess up the song, almost having reached the end of it. And that's what the guys might have faced at a rehearsal in December 1999. The last time they performed Blackened was in May 1990 in Scotland, having done it over 200 times for the past just year and a half. And apparently, after that, they needed a break from it and from the Justice stuff overall. However, the break happened to span almost till the end of the 90s. Just 3 days left to the beginning of the new millennium, and to the massive joy of the fans who gathered at Miami, Florida, the Blackened intro rolls. And sure enough, Blackened explodes. But when the solo ends and the main riff with all the rhythm changes should start, James proceeds to the final verse. And also, the previous part was simplified. Instead of this really badass but very short riff on the alternating notes, I guess it's part by the main riff. James plays this as a progression of power chords. Meanwhile, you see Jason sticking to the original with alternating notes. And by the way, when I was transcribing his bass line from Blackened, in this part, he sometimes feels kinda lagging 1/8 behind James's riff. But you would not notice that, firstly because bass is buried there, but also it still kinda aids pulse and it goes with the drums well, which the bass has to do first. But yeah, that's a power chord variation. I guess I've heard that move before. Anyway, they played it like this for a few more times, and when the song returned to the 70s during Saint Anger, they simplified it even more, cutting that badass riff entirely, and with it, like, the most epic part of Kirk's solo. And yeah, the part with the shifted accents on the main riff did not return either. And this remains the live version of Blackened till this day. You know, maybe they shortened Blackened not because that section was super difficult. Like, that bridge from Horseman is the chillest part on Kill 'Em All, and yet they preferred not to play it. But something tells me, yeah, they just needed to calm the track down a bit to keep it appearing on the stage, because it's the favorite one to many of the fans. And yeah, we should mention another riff overshadowed by this solo. It's a really cool one, kinda granddad to metalcore. Which thankfully they still play, and with a little new variation. A few more words on Lars. There is no single Metallica record where Lars makes such a huge difference, both musically and production-wise, if you know what I mean, as on Justice. And Blackened is no exception, but maybe even the best example of that. Anyway, the impact of Lars Ulrich on Justice and that accent trick in Blackened is better explained by my fellow YouTuber, Mike from The Art of the Guitar.
So it's all about Lars Ulrich throwing things off by 1/8 note. And he's a genius at doing that.
I'll leave a link to that video in description. Subscribe to him before he hits the 1,000,000. And I guess I forgot something. The most epic part of the song. The intro. But unfortunately, I have run out of time on this one. Maybe I'll make a little or not so little video on the intro alone. If anything, I've played it on bass many years ago with distortion, like the Cliff Burton style. You can watch it here. Alright guys, it felt like the good old days. Even though now I'm having the load era haircut, press that like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to support me, join the membership to unlock a lot of membership-only videos, including one of the old ones that I feel like they should be only for the most dedicated friends. Thank you, and